What is up, Titans? Welcome back to a brand new Titans Season 4 update video. And yes, so soon, because believe it or not, we've got more to talk about. As I said in my recent update videos, it must be that time of year again because I didn't necessarily expect to find myself here so soon, but we've got some episode images to dive into, which, really pleasantly surprised me because it's always nice seeing, actual kind of screenshots from the episode of our Season 4 characters, if you will. And that goes along nicely with some of the other updates we've got to get into with regards to Brother Blood. We've got some more comments from Joseph Morgan, which we're going to start off with. But also, we've got some interesting other behind-the-scenes photos. And most of those episode photos were posted by a director of Season 4. But one of the photos he's posted has got people, I think both excited because there's a bit of Lex Luthor stuff we can talk about there. But also, some people are really apprehensive. And I think some of you can probably tell from the video title, and that is with regards to Ric Grayson. And if you know about Ric Grayson, you know that's not always been a Nightwing story that has gone down so well with fans, and as a result, some people are panicking, oh my god, are they going to straight up adapt the Ric Grayson storyline? And I'm going to give my outlook on that. Got some other suit update stuff, a little teeny tiny peek at Beast Boy. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now and get straight into the beginning update, but before I do, I would really appreciate a like on this video. If you're a Titans fan, this is the place to subscribe for that. Let's start off with what Brother Blood, Joseph Morgan himself, has had to say. He did an Instagram live 5 days ago saying that things are going rather well and that there was an interesting question that a fan asked him, but let's see what he has to say about this.
It's going rather well. Someone asked me today on Twitter, they said, I hope we see Sebastian happy at least once this season. And I said, you will, and you definitely will. You know, there's a real innocence and a childlike quality, I think, to Sebastian when we first find him, at least. And he goes down a dark path, as you might expect. But it's so interesting exploring that journey as it unfolds in front of Sebastian.
Before we continue with some of his other comments, I find that very interesting in how he says that we will see him happy. And that kind of makes me feel a little bit reaffirmed. By all means, I'm not saying this is outright happening or anything like that. I just feel like, I've got the right flow of direction, maybe, of where things can be going. And, for Sebastian Sanger to go to the extent of what he will be going to this season, going down the dark path that leads him to being Brother Blood, I was speculating recently whether it's some kind of tragedy, I don't know, just something that causes that hole in his life, so to speak, that turns that real innocence and childlike qualities to Sebastian, as Joseph Morgan details here, at least when we first see him. And I was speculating, could that be shown through flashbacks akin to that of S.I. Morales' Deathstroke maybe in Season 2, or are we going to see the very journey and then to the midpoint of the season in real time, him go from innocent to Brother Blood? I don't know about that. I think we will pick up somewhere with him, and some of it will be somewhat annotated, if you will, with the backstory, the origin, if you will, but who knows there ultimately. I just feel like there's something that this guy endures, or something along those lines, that turns him down that dark path, and it just allows for what Joseph Morgan has also discussed before, and what I've also detailed in what makes a really good villain is when an audience can connect to even a villainous character who may be doing all of these diabolical things, but there's still an aspect of empathy there that just makes it so much more multifaceted, just all around. It's not one-dimensional, oh, I'm evil kind of thing. So the fact that we're going to see him happy, it just makes me feel like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
But I have designed a pretty cool look for Sebastian, and his clothes as well are quite interesting in the beginning. Although at least I think all of that, the aesthetics of him, the hair and the clothes, will shift as his journey unfolds, and as he becomes this new person and gathers confidence and all of these things that happen. Will we see you in a character costume? This is not Roberto says. Yeah, you will for sure. I think there's going to be a sort of first look thing in the press, where they show a first look at the character, but I'm not sure if there'll be any set photos before that I can post. We'll see how cheeky I'm feeling.
Now, as for what you just heard there, that makes me excited because not only do we all appreciate things like cinematography, but also a character's evolution can be shown in other ways. As Joseph Morgan puts it here, he had a bit of a hand in design, and as actors sometimes do, they might actually contribute to a bit of a look of their own character, and if there's any ideas they can put forward. And when he says, you know, his clothes are interesting, you know, at least in the beginning, the clothes will shift as he goes more towards that dark path. And I do wonder how comic book accurate they are gonna go. For example, recently Jonny Yee, he did an awesome concept. I don't know if they're gonna go like this, you know, comic book accurate with actually having a bone kind of skull resting on his head. They could be a bit more grounded maybe, but you never know. The comic book counterpart of Sebastian Blood is quite extreme, and if they did that, that would be pretty cool. But I do have a bit of hesitancy there. I feel like they might try and blend a bit of that, but also maybe with a bit of grounded aspects to it at the same time. You know, you'll see some familiarity there from the comics, but it, you know, in terms of fully fledged costume. But who knows? Titans has been pretty damn accurate with their suits, albeit giving their own little innovative twist on it, whether that be Red Hood, Nightwing. You know, it's not a literal bird, but you've clearly got the symbol there. The Red Hood costume was great. Starfire had quite a bit of a flair to her own costume, etc., etc. So it's interesting to hear him talk about the costume. And when somebody asked him about, will we see your character in costume, he said, you will for sure. And he also spoke about there should be something for the press. So that should mean, just like the Beast Boy photo we are going to be getting, you know, similar to that of the Starfire reveal, the Red Hood costume reveal, we should be getting not only a Beast Boy one, but also a Brother Blood one. So that does tell me that it's going to be hopefully quite an extravagant costume. You know, I don't think they would do some kind of actual proper reveal like they have for those other suits unless it wasn't going to be something, you know, kind of grand-esque. You know, this is Brother Blood at the end of the day. So now I don't want to overhype it because I'm not going to say it's going to be like a proper horned kind of thing. But the fact that we are getting a press photo does make me think, you know, this could be pretty badass. Now, with regards to him saying, but I'm not sure if there'll be any set photos before that I can post, we'll see how cheeky I'm feeling. I doubt he will be allowed to do that before the actual press photo itself, unless he literally takes like a very close up of his eye and there's like a little slight millimeter to his helmet. I don't expect to see anything beyond that, maybe, until we get that actual official first look at the Brother Blood costume. And as Joseph Morgan said himself, and I extend this onto you guys because I love the discussion that not only I share in this video, but that you guys also speculate down in the comments. He said to me on Twitter, I watched this on the way back from filming. You're like a detective, BobaTalks, piecing together clues, sometimes way off, but sometimes coming dangerously close to the truth. I will find out. No, but really, it makes me feel like, okay, you know, we're getting somewhere, guys, but, you know, we're also sometimes at least me, completely off. So I welcome you guys to sharing this speculation. Where do you think this can go with Sebastian? Whether it's flashback style or whatever kind of style you feel like they could be going with this adaptation and innovation of character. And also, where do you kind of want it to go? What would you like to see from Joseph Morgan's Brother Blood? From the somewhat kind of childlike innocence there, as he puts it, to this, you know, dark path that leads him to that character we know. So up next, interestingly, last week we were speculating, and this photo is from Boris Mochfosky. Again, I apologize if I butcher names. And we were speculating about James Scully's character. He was 40 in You on Netflix. You may recognize him. I think that was like season 2, was it? I can't remember properly, but he was awesome in that role. And here we see him with Jayla Cargo's Tim Drake as well. And we were speculating whether he was Roy Harper or someone like Bernard, a love interest for Tim Drake. But at the same time, we don't know. And even if that was the case, it might not be as straight up, as I keep saying. They don't copy and paste. Titans would probably do their own twist on Bernard if they did that. And it seems here that this isn't Roy Harper. Now, the reason why that was still speculated about is because he looks like he could be a cool casting for Roy, and we've given all the teasers for Roy Harper throughout Titans, the Easter eggs here and there. I felt like over time they were just a bit more than Easter eggs, and they were kind of transforming into nods, as if like, okay, we're almost bringing him in every season, but we keep getting the no, or something like that, if that makes sense. But I don't think that this is Roy. This could still be Bernard. I really don't know there. Please do not take that as if this is going to be Bernard now. It just makes me think, given the Star Labs photographs that we had from, you know, some photographers photographers in the last update. Check that video out if you haven't seen it already. Maybe this could be somebody from Star Labs that James Scully is playing. Clearly, there's going to be, and for James Scully to be cast as well, I don't think it would be a minor role. I'm not sure if it's going to be a series regular. It could be kind of a recurring role. I do feel like he's going to have some kind of back and forth with one of the Titans members there. So, you know, as a result, that could be Bernard with their own little original twist and spin on the character, interacting with Tim Drake back and forth for some reason or another. Like, I really don't know ultimately, but I just thought it was interesting to share the actual first in-character look of James Scully's character. Now, with regards to this video you're seeing on the screen, we get some, like, behind-the-scenes, you know, stuff of the Titans in their suits, which is always awesome to see. But then we pan to Jedi Robe, frickin' Ryan Potter. And he's clearly wearing his suit under there. That's why he's wearing a bit more of the robe, concealing everything a bit more than the others, since obviously the suit hasn't been revealed yet. But we do get very, 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 very brief teasers that you're seeing on screen right now. So this isn't kind of got to be the situation where he's got like gloves with like fingerless gloves kind of thing. It seems that it's got to be like a long sleeve where he's got a thumb hole through it, that kind of vibe. It's got like a red tone to it, which is cool, but it's somewhat of a lighter red rather than more of like a darker kind of crimson-y one. You can get a little bit of a tease of the neck area, but other than that, I'm not gonna like waste too much more time over this, and that's mainly because we can't really make any more out than that. I'm really excited to see Beast Boy finally get his suit. That is needless to say at this point. I mean, he's already got it, he's wearing it. It's just we can't see it right now. I mean, I keep expecting, by the way, every single time I'm making these updates, that by the time I'm posting this, as of when you're seeing it, like, there's going to be a suit reveal, and that would be my luck. Now, guys, let's get to some of the director, Nick Copus, posting photos of episodes and also some behind the scenes stuff there. So this photo that you're seeing on screen right now, he says, "My office at Titans Production HQ. 9 months of shooting to go. This show is wild and intense. No place I'd rather be, and season 4 is gonna be something darkly special." Now before I dive into what's in this photo, I really do find it interesting that he used the word something darkly special. Now, that shouldn't necessarily be mega surprising given the fact that we're getting the Church of Blood. The reason why I wanted to focus on this is because I think this will make some fans extremely excited, probably the majority of fans, but then there's obviously going to be a vocal aspect of fans being like, oh, but I really like the kind of more quirky Titans that they started to lean into, even though season 3 was pretty dark as well at the same time with some of the Titans has always got the aspect of darkness to it, but season 3, you know, picked up with Ric Grayson just slapping people up with his Eskrima sticks, with that song in the background. I think there's a sector of fans who always want that, and I see what they mean with that, and I don't think that's going to strictly go away. I think that will be sprinkled throughout this road trip-esque kind of feel we have this season. But at the same time, I think the choice of season 4, like a generalization there, is going to be something darkly special. Combine that with the Church of Blood. I feel like this might be going and leaning a bit more into, not like strictly season 1, like all the flaws that you might have found with season 1. I'm talking like in terms of tone. I feel like it might be more season 1 vibes there, considering what we have to play with this season and the fact that the director did say darkly special. So I think that says it all. I think we are going to get some funny little moments on and off, but it seems that this season is going to be fairly dark. And no wonder, you know, we've got some, you know, dark times ahead with the Church of Blood. So this is where some of the panic is setting in from what I'm gathering online. You know, I always keep an ear to the ground, obviously, because I'm making these videos. And some of the stuff that you're seeing in the background here is that we see some comics. Now, this is the director's kind of HQ as described here by Nick Copus. And I don't think it's necessarily saying, oh, people getting carried away thinking that if he's got a bunch of Titans comics there, that they have absolutely nothing to do with this season. Of course they do, like to some degree. You know, you can see some Lex Luthor comics there, quite a few Superboy and Lex comics, President Luthor and stuff like that. And we know we're getting Lex Luthor this season. Like, I think that's pretty damn obvious by now. He's even got a little diary here where he's kind of collaged the front of it, which I think is really cool, with scripts and notes and storyboard things in there he mentioned. Lo and behold, there's Lex stuff on the front there. Lex is coming. It's just that if you heard that Joshua Orpin debunked something, he debunked a little short list apparently of the actors who are apparently being looked at to play Lex Luthor. But that doesn't mean Lex Luthor isn't coming. It just meant that, I know I'm going on a tangent right now, but Joshua Orpin, who plays Superboy, probably meant that those people aren't the guy that we've actually got for Lex. Either way, though, very clearly we're getting that Lex appearance. And very clearly, you know, since there's some Lex and Superboy stuff there, we know they're gonna be in this season. These comics are having some kind of influence on this season. However, that doesn't mean a copy and paste. But obviously, as a result, since Ric Grayson, that Nightwing story is there, people are like, no. Now, if you are kind of unfamiliar as to why that is just like, really, like people might be jumping the gun a bit with this, and I'll say why in a second. I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong and they do straight up adapt it when the time comes when we're reviewing it. But Ric Grayson isn't a fan-loved Nightwing story for the most part, because in the story of this whole Ric Grayson thing, Dick Grayson gets shot. Like, he gets shot, and it kind of obviously leads to some kind of amnesia, and as a result of that, it allowed the storytellers to somewhat build himself back up with different characteristics and attributes to that of how he formed a new identity. Instead of Dick Grayson, it is Ric Grayson. But with those character attributes that were somewhat replaced, it alienated a lot of fans, because everything they kind of loved about Dick Grayson and Nightwing was traded for the characteristics of Ric Grayson. So it rubbed people the wrong way, to put it like that. Like, it was just like, yeah. And as a result, it's kind of like, it had like good ideas, so to speak, but, you know, with the way it was kind of conducted and the way the character was as Ric Grayson, people just kind of, at the end of the day, put their thumbs down to it. So when people are seeing this Ric Grayson comic here with all of these other comics in this guy's office, a guy who's a director, it does stand to reason that some people are thinking, oh my god, after building freaking Dick Grayson up for multiple seasons to only really have Nightwing for one season now, since we only got him right in the last episode of season 2, if you think about it. People are like, they really spent 3 seasons building up Nightwing to just kind of do the Ric Grayson storyline, where he basically like blank slate and then replace it. You know what I mean? So as a result, I understand the panic there, but my optimistic kind of take on this, and you can either take this or leave this, is that, again, for the billionth time in this video, things aren't always copy and paste. So I do believe that table of comic books are indeed references, maybe even little pointers. So the Ric Grayson comic being there could indeed be a very, very low-key influence where you just wanted to read it. Like, I don't think they're just all laid out there for memes and jokes. I think they're there for a reason. What if it's just there because, like, he wanted to read it and they're borrowing one idea from that story for his arc this season, Dick Grayson's arc? Like, what if they just want to borrow one thing and it's like, actually, just wanted to get a bit familiar with that. It doesn't mean that if it's there, that it means, Dick Grayson, Nightwing's gonna get shot in the head, he's gonna completely forget everything, and it's gonna be a story like where, you can imagine Greg Walker saying, well, last season this happened, you know, the Titans needed to stay together in the midst of where they could be split up, but they endure and they stay together. This season, they lose their leader, and what happens if that happens? You know, where they don't lose him as in life, but he has amnesia and he's not the person he was. Now the Titans need to kind of stay together in the midst of if one of their leaders isn't that same person anymore. And that kind of makes sense in a way of a story, but people probably wouldn't like that. That doesn't mean that's happening. What if there's just something that they're finding interesting about that storyline amongst all of the other comic books laid out there, and they're gonna borrow it? It doesn't mean they're straight up gonna shoot Brenton Thwaites' Nightwing in the head, completely starting from scratch, give him some kind of twist on Ric Grayson. I know I keep repeating myself here, but just because you're seeing that there doesn't mean it's going to happen straight up, or that they're adapting that for the arc. Now, I will swallow my words if they do that. I just wanted to say, ultimately, that just because that comic's there, it doesn't mean, like, we can't guarantee that that's going to happen. I think it's just meant to be a low-key influence, and there's something that they want to cannibalize from that story, and I don't think we should assume that they're going to straight up do the very core thing about that story that would probably alienate fans in terms of, you know, basically amnesia and making him a whole different character to what fans like. But as for all the Superboy stuff there and Lex Luthor stuff, you know, this is quite a bit of research, I would say, for something that's supposed to be just a brief appearance. As you may know, as we're getting Lex this season, it's being said that it's going to be a brief appearance, but a memorable one. Now, I still believe that. I don't think Lex will be littered throughout this season. Just because these comics are here, it could still mean that it's going to be brief, but perhaps what is really going on here, Superboy's interaction with with Lex could have some echoing repercussions throughout the season, and that's what we're going to get into with one of the photos in a little bit, or up next actually. But do you see what I mean there? Like, yeah, sure, we're getting Lex for a brief amount of time, it's going to be a cool appearance, but whatever happens, you know, maybe these comics are there for all the research reasons of, man, whatever that could be, whatever impact Lex has that is memorable, as is what is being reported, Superboy could be struggling with that, and that arc, that could be his arc all season long. You know, him battling between his Kal-El side and the Lex side, something that subverted his expectations. Who knows there? I don't have the answers, but I do feel like whatever happens will have a ripple effect for him. Just thought I'd chuck this in here. You can see the cast photos in the background there, and you have to assume that these are all the cast, at least for now. And you can make some of them out, like Brenton, Tegan, Joshua Orpin, perhaps Joseph Morgan there. But up there could be the Lex Luthor casting, but it's just blurry. So, like, I can't really make it out, but let me know if you think you can spot anyone. Also, at the end of the day, he might not even be up there, but it does seem like they've got, you know, the actual headshots of various actors up there who are obviously a part of the Titans show. And lastly, we have some shots from the episodes. Now, I'm going to kind of skim through these just because, you know, they're not teaser trailers at the end of the day. But first and foremost, we have a little bit of dickery. And I think fans, after all this time, have wanted this. I mean, again, this could just be a nice conversation, and we could be reading into this. But, you know, who knows? What if they're on a date here? Or it seems that they're at a bar or just somewhere. I don't know. But it does make me think back to what we had teased to us in the Lazarus Pit dream vision, if whatever you want to call it, through Dick Grayson seeing a little daughter of his, or at least what was heavily implied as his and Starfire's daughter. Now, I think in an interview with Matt Sheehan, Brenton Thwaites also said with regards to, like, you know, the whole dickery shipping question, and this is very much so paraphrased by me, do not take this as a direct quote, but he was kind of indicating that you can't just keep teasing something like that in a show without it kind of annoying people at the end of the day. So I can kind of take out of that, like, oh, what if they're actually going to now in season 4, you know, really kind of push the boat out a lot more? What if this is the first photo teasing the starting development of that in season 4? You never know. You never know. Up next, we have Superboy, and he's looking at, I mean, something that is lighting up his face. This could very well be, for all we know, it could be something among the scene of wherever or however Lex is going to be involved. Maybe he's being shown something. Obviously, the speculation can go on forever here. But, you know, I am quite looking... One thing I've said since we've first had Joshua Orpin Superboy is that ever since we went to Lionel Luthor and Lex's childhood home, I just wanted to see a continuation of that storyline with Lex in some way, shape, or form. And it was benched for a while, but now we're finally getting back to it. So I am very hyped for this. Very, very hyped. We also have some Rachel photos. There's a couple of them. I just think that Tegan Croft looks great as Raven. I think the casting is just spectacular. I'm really looking forward to her potential this season, like considering this is the Church of Blood, Magic's going to be involved, we've got Jinx cast. I expect more Raven in general this season. Last season, fans felt like she was benched quite a bit. We had some awesome Amazon training and things like that, but for the most part, it was, you know, a heavy Red Hood season. So this season, we are going to be getting a lot more Rachel, I think, you know, Raven, and these photos, we're just seeing some in-episode shots there. And lastly, everyone, we have Nightwing, and my only thoughts about this is, I feel like every single time Brenton off-season grows his hair out, and then they chop it off. I thought that this season might be the time where they would let him have long hair. Maybe they make the decision that it's maybe a bit impractical and a bit more of a grounded yet fantastical adaptation. But I don't know. I feel like when you're doing Titans and with what we've already seen on the show, the last thing they would care about is, oh, hair getting in the way. Why didn't they let us just have longer Dick Grayson hair? I mean, would you like that, guys, or do you think, nah, just keep the short hair? But that is absolutely everything today, guys. So a bit of another rambly Titans update. I would love to know all of your thoughts about everything we discussed. Spew away down in the comments. Absolutely anything. I love reading all of your comments. I honestly do read every single one. I can't necessarily respond to every single one. That would take a long time, but I do read every single one, and I will try and get back to you. Leave me your theories as to what we talked about. But other than that, like this video if you did enjoy it. If you're brand new here, subscribe for any and all Season 4 updates. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and I also have a Discord server. But thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you fellow Titans in the next video. Goodbye.